Ladies and gents, what's up? Jesse Ray here. This one is really cool. So this is something that I did over the pandemic. One of my favorite artists, Shoffy, announced on his Instagram that they would be doing a remix contest. So I entered the contest to participate in remixing this song. So they were giving out the stems to anybody who wanted to try this. It was really tremendously fun. And I did a really Max Martin-y kind of funky slap bass rendition of this record and just reproduced it and had a really good time. I did not win the contest though, so I did not win the Nintendo Switch, which is super sad. I hired a graphic designer to make an album art for it because I had this game SSX Tricky for the PS2 growing up, so check out this album art. I thought it was awesome. But unbeknownst to me, the feature artist, Sabrina Carpenter, would go on to become this super mega big star, and I didn't even realize that was her. I didn't recognize that even throughout this entire year, while I've been vibing and jamming to her new records that have been just immensely successful and blowing up the universe, I didn't realize that I had worked on a track that featured her vocal before. And it's not every day you get a fantastic Sabrina Carpenter vocal stem to play around with. So let's take a look at it. So here's her verse.
He tricky, he's hard to read. Nothing with him's ever concrete. Every time I think we got the time. Is it a sign that we keep missing the signs? Now you got me acting all crazy.
You kind of get the idea. This is pretty reminiscent of how a production vocal will come in. You know, a lot of the time it's a fully engineered, recorded, printed down vocal with the effects baked in, and that's what we have here. You know, these are mixed stems from the released version of the song, so you might say it's not entirely fair that we're looking at a mixed vocal already, but honestly, the job of mixing a lot of the time is taking a vocal stem that has already been engineered and tuned and dialed in and mixed by a different engineer or by the producer or by, you know, the tracking engineer, whoever did it. This is definitely reminiscent of what'll come across my desk a lot of the time. You know, you may say, man, it already sounds really great. What can we do? And sometimes the answer is, well, if it does sound great, we don't really need to do much. But I do hear a few things happening. There are some areas where there's some clicks and pops. Yeah, like there you can hear one of the little crackles happening. It's either a mouse click or a mouth click. Regardless, I have up on my favorites RX10D crackle, just stock setting. Usually I'll start by hitting Shift, Control, Option, Command. I call it the claw, and that allows us to duplicate the playlist right over. So now we're able to process this new playlist with the RX. And if we ever need to revert back to the old one, we can. We have it in a previous playlist now. So we're good. All right, let's just render it. And then let's A-B that spot. So here it was before. Immediately, it's super cleaned up. My first instinct was to EQ out some top end because I was hearing just top end noise and clickiness and just really kind of transient sibilant information. But now we've cleaned it up with RX, so we don't need to over EQ. Let's just start from scratch. I'll pull up Pro Q3. I love the natural phase setting. I just have that on by default. That just works for me. He's hard to read. Nothing with him's ever concrete. I am hearing a little wispiness and like just kind of a scratchiness. So I want to, right off the bat, I want to just get a narrow cue and just search around and try to find that thing. He's hard to read. Nothing with him's ever concrete. Every time I think we got the time. I think I've honed in on exactly what it is. So it's a whistly resonance that we can identify, and now we can kind of pull that thing out a little bit. He's hard to read. Nothing with him's ever concrete. So at this stage, this is something I'm always talking about, but I'm going to deploy one of my favorite techniques. Eyes closed and ears open. By holding down the Option key and moving this band up and down, we've locked it in place. It's not going to move around, so we don't have to be looking at the screen to know what we're doing at this point. Now we can close our eyes and just use our ears. We can heighten that sense, close our eyes and listen, and simply place that band where it feels right. And once we have it in the place where it's sounding perfect to us, we let go, we open our eyes, we find it. Let's try this out. He's hard to read. Nothing with him's ever concrete. That's really nice. Every time I think we got the time. Is it a sign? Every time I think we got the time. Every time I think we got. So we could try a de-esser to get rid of some of this stuff, but I'm actually tempted to use SplitEQ to try to pull some of the transient info out. When she hits certain consonants like S S's and K's, T's. We get there's just a little bit too much attack, and I think a de-esser would kind of smush that stuff down. But let's try to find that and boost just the attack. So we're trying to pronounce the effect. We're trying to find where it's most audible to really be able to identify where the problem is, and then we'll get rid of it. Subtle thing, but it is hitting me better. I'm gonna keep that. You know, we might come back later and get rid of that and find something else that works better, but ultimately I think that's pretty cool so far. Let's listen in some more. You know, there's a little more scratchiness. Like it's great to have that breathy quality to a singer, but we can also use filters to just sort of smooth and accentuate it and make them sound a little extra smooth.
He tricky, he's all the read, nothing with him. He tricky, he's all the read. He tricky, he's all the read, nothing with.
Yeah, like some of that noise is, frankly, it's just not a super musical sound. So we got to just contour that top end to fit in a little better and not take away from the fundamental notes that she's trying to sing. Again, here I'll use eyes closed, ears open to get this thing dialed in without letting my eyeballs trick me.
He tricky, he's all the read, nothing with him's ever concrete. Every time I think we got the time.
Another thing we could do right off the bat, I like to use Spectral Shaper to just hone in on where some of those noisy artifacts are and just let it ride and let it attenuate really in a smooth way.
And with him, nothing with him's ever concrete. Nothing with him's ever concrete.
This is another plugin that'll trick your eyes because the meters are really extreme and it'll make you think that you're hearing things that you're not just because you're seeing things move with your eyes. So this is another trick I like to do. I like to bring up the force quit applications window by using Command Option Escape. And when I bring that up, I'm going to use it to block this part of the plugin that is showing me the meter. And now we'll click back into Pro Tools.
Nothing with him's ever.
And then we can dial it in using that amount knob off to the left without actually seeing the meter. And I think it's going to allow us to make a better decision.
Nothing with him's ever concrete. Nothing with him's ever concrete. Nothing with him's ever concrete. He tricky, he's all the read. He tricky, he's all the read. He tricky, he's all the read. He tricky, he's all the read.
You could be tempted to go all the way and just remove the noise altogether, but it starts to sound really unnatural. You get this just phase hole of missing information in the vocal. And, you know, I think right away that tells our brains that have been programmed to hear human voices a certain way for, you know, thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and billions of years. You know, it starts to sound really unnatural. It freaks us out. And a client will get a mix back like that and think like, oh no, it's not right. Something's so wrong here. You know, that was a really big issue in like 2019 when Soothe came out. Everybody was over soothing vocals, and at least to me, everything was coming out just sounding so freaked. People were thinking, oh, I'm getting the perfectly clean vocal now with no overtones, and it just like doesn't sound natural at all. The breathiness is a beautiful characteristic of her voice. Obviously, she's incredible, but I want more of the fundamental, some of that lower vocal action, right? I'm going to bring in Spectre. I like to use tube mode for boosting things. You know, it gives you a nice even order harmonics. So like just boosting and getting more of something, you know, whatever the signal and frequencies that are there, it'll just give you just a beautiful kind of addition to that. Because yeah, right now we've got kind of this like really smooth, really clean. Like this is like a crystal clean sounding vocal. And I think we could add a little bit of warmth. And I don't mean like low end or low mids. I mean just like mids. Like we really could bring it forward. And I think it's going to be somewhere around 800, 900, 1K, just somewhere in there to just give her a little more body. You can look while you're dialing this in, or you can do the eyes closed and ears open thing. You could just really just drag that band around, and we could just imagine that, you know, we have a paintbrush and we're coloring or applying paint to the canvas to see where it's going to stick and where it's going to really make the most sense and what's going to work.
He tricky, he's hard to read. 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 He tricky, he's hard to read.
Hey, Turkey. All right, let's hear what we have so far with everything bypassed, and then we'll hear what we did.
He tricky, he's hard to read. Nothing with him's ever concrete. He tricky, he's hard to read. Nothing with him's ever concrete.
You know, and you might say, well, it's a little muddier now, or it sounds a little darker. Because, yeah, we did boost some mid-range, which is now eating up some headroom and preventing some top end from passing through. And we cut some top end, too. But I think this is improving the intelligibility. I think it's bringing her a little closer to us. I think it's making it a little more personal. And it's sounding a little more warm, for lack of a better term. You know, ultimately, it's my call. And y'all can do whatever you want to do, but this is feeling cool to me. And I'm kind of just experimenting. I don't make these choices and then decide that's it. That's the finished vocal is perfect. You know, I'll go through the mix process and I might undo these things, or I might redo it like 15 different times throughout the process, because we're just experimenting, you guys. You know, it's not brain surgery. It's art, and we just got to try some things and come back and change our perspective and just keep on tweaking until we really feel like it completes the picture and ultimately serves the song, serves the artist, and helps us achieve a satisfied client.
Tiptoeing on a tightrope, a step away from a wrong note. Towing on a tightrope.
There I am hearing it gets a little bit boomy muddy with the background. And this is a common thing too. The backgrounds were printed into this lead vocal stem. Oops. That's all right. So we might even just pull up one more of these guys. And if I know I'm just going to automate this in for just one phrase, I'm just going to really quickly, I'll use the claw again, Shift, Control, Option, Command on that little button right there. That puts everything into the automation window. And I'm going to go stereo placement. I'm going to go to the sides. I'm going to try to emphasize where.
Towing on a tightrope, step 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 towing on a tightrope.
Yeah, so we're kind of pulling that low mid information out of the sides. And we can put it into
towing on a tightrope, step towing on a tightrope, step towing on a tightrope.
And we can reshape it there too. Okay, now that I've got those dialed in, I want to make sure that this plugin is only active during that phrase. So then I can hit Control, Command, Bypass to change my window over here. And my automation window gives me that parameter right off the bat. And then we do that.
Crazy, thinking that you're gonna wait for me. Tiptoeing on a tightrope, a step away from
I want to go a little bit further to really get this to sound even.
me. Tiptoeing on a tightrope, a step away from me. Tiptoeing on a tightrope, a step away from me. Tiptoeing on a tightrope.
There we go. We have a little EQ automation that pops in.
Now you got me acting all crazy, thinking that you're gonna wait for me. Tiptoeing on a tightrope, a step.
If you want to achieve that without automation, you would just duplicate the track. Just drag that down, drag this up. And remove automation, and then it would just switch to that part when you want that EQ on.
Wait for me, tiptoeing on a tightrope, a step away from a wrong note.
And that works too. Okay, and she does another section of the song. So for those, the EQ I added with the mids, it's making things cloudy. So I would definitely take that Spectre off for that section. And it's a dense section, so there we do need more top end. So I think I would bring the Spectre back and just get rid of that. I might even go dynamic with this mid. For something like that that's floaty, I would definitely set up a send. Let's go with like a CLA Epic. This thing has so many different effects in it. Let's go to like a CLA vocals. Let's go the big one. Let's try that. I don't even know what that is. Let's turn them all down and let's just try to blend this in to make this ad-lib cool. I would consider this an ad-lib. She's singing around him. It's a call and response thing. We want some space. We want to make it cool, right? And there's no science or technical know-how to anything that I'm doing right now. I'm just grabbing faders, bringing them up, just seeing what feels right, and just trusting my ears, you know? Okay, now that we've kind of balanced the effects on where they are, I want to bring the overall fader down of that effect. And then eyes closed, ears open, just start to blend it in. So here's the problem with those effects. Now they need to be EQ'd. Because what I'm hearing, they're really just singing. They're really overloading the mid-range around, you know, 900, 1K. Let's see what's... Sorry, 700. That's what I was looking for. I want to use a dynamic band to just ride that. It's nice. All right, we're in a different section of the song, different musical instrumentation, different context going on behind her vocal. She's singing in a different register. She's singing now up in like a mixed voice. How do you? So we're going to split the track off and give this its own section of EQ as well. Again, here you can hear that the backgrounds are pan left and right, or at least partially left and right, and they're kind of MIDI muddy. So if we can't separate, we don't have the separate vocals. We'll just use mid-side to pull some low energy out of the sides.
What to do, I know that I am falling. I'm lost for words, it's so absurd. What kind of situation? What to do, I know that I am falling.
And that's cool, because that brought up the intelligibility, and you think, oh, I want a breathy thing. I want a breathy vocal. I want to boost like at the top end. But like, listen, we're boosting the mid-range, and that's bringing up the breathiness.
What to do, I know that I am falling. I'm lost for words, it's so absurd. What kind of situation?
Now that I've boosted that, the breathiness is a little bit uneven, and you have some things poking in and out. So I'm going to do a dynamic band cut from there.
What to do, I know that I am falling. I'm lost for words, it's so absurd. What kind of situation? I'm up to you.
From there, I want to throw. I can hear that they've applied a throw. I want to put one of my own in there, just because. It's because I'm a silly goose like that. We're going to call it JR Throw. And we'll put in my fave. This is no secret. I do this all the time. SFX, delays, broken projector, mix all the way up.
Kind of situation.
It's such a cool sounding effect. Listen how warbly it is. So I kind of want it to fade in so that we really don't start to hear the throw until the last phrase.
Kind of situation. I'm up to you, what to do. I know that I am falling. I'm lost for words. It's so.
And check this out. I put a modulation in here. But, this was a keyscape part that I played. Let's unfreeze it and see what's going on with this MIDI.
It's so absurd. What kind of situation? I'm up to you, what to do. I know that.
We went to the 5. It's a trick that if you want to modulate up to get into the new key, you go to the 5th off of the desired new key. So we went up to that. And then we had to pitch shift the vocals. And then we're up a key. I wonder if I remember how to play that on the bass. I want to find it. Hope y'all enjoyed that. That's one instance of problem solving. It's never cool with tutorial type stuff to apply just constant rules like I do this every time. It's like, no, I'm receiving the information that I'm hearing right now. The sound is traveling through my ears, into my brain, into my little cerebellum, and it's going knock, knock, knock. I have new information for you. Would you like to receive it? And then my brain says, yes, I'm receiving it. It's great. Or no, it sucks. Let's change it. Let's do something. And then from there, we pick a trajectory. We pick a path. We grab some tools. We just finesse. We morph. We just keep grinding. We keep plowing through. We power through. We get there, you know? So just keep the faith, my fellow mixer, music maker people. Thanks for hanging with me, y'all. I love you guys so much. Take care. Peace.